The V-stitch is an easy and versatile stitch that can be used to create beautiful projects, but when it comes to working it in the round as a square, it can start misbehaving. For the first few rounds, everything is fine, but after that, somehow it just starts expanding and getting wavy. This is not your fault and not a tension issue, it's simply the nature of the stitch. So today I want to show you how you can fix this and work this continuously with as many rounds as you like. The typical V-stitch is worked with a double crochet, chain one, double crochet, and that's what you see here. I've just worked continuously round after round on the same side with V-stitches. Now this is great if you just want to work 4 or 5 rounds. It's keeping its shape well enough. And if you do like this, I'll go ahead and pop the pattern in the description box below the video. The big rule of thumb to remember here is if things are starting to look wavy, that simply means there's too many stitches. And then conversely, if it's looking like it's cupping or curling in too much, that means there aren't enough stitches. So the main issue that you're going to have with this square is that it's going to start getting too wavy. So the two main things that we're going to do to change that is we're going to omit that chain one in between those double crochets. And we're also going to bring in a decrease round once we hit round 5. And I'll explain that when we get to that point. To avoid the skewing or the twisting of the square itself, we're going to be turning after every round. And if you're familiar with my channel, you know I'm a big fan of doing this to keep everything nice and square. The yarn I'll be using for the sample today is a worsted weight 4 cotton yarn with a 4mm hook. For the first round, we're going to be treating it like a typical granny square. So you can either do a magic ring or a chain 3 with a slip stitch to form a ring. I'm going to do a magic ring. Wrap the yarn around your fingers, pull the yarn through, create a chain. If you're not familiar with how to do a magic ring, I'll go ahead and add a link right here to help you out. Chain 2, and this is going to serve as your first double crochet. Add 2 more double crochets into the ring. Chain 2, 3 double crochets into the ring. Chain 2, and 3 more doubles into the ring. 1, 2, 3. Chain 2, and 1 final cluster of 3 double crochets. Tighten the center. Instead of doing a chain 2 to complete the round, I'm going to do a half double crochet into the very first chain that I made, just going up to the top of it with a half double crochet. I'm doing that because it puts me in the center of the space. Chain 2 or 3 to serve as your first double crochet and turn. You may prefer to do a stacked single for your first double crochet. I do that a lot, but for this I'll just go ahead and do 2 chains. Now instead of doing a chain 1 between our V-stitches, I'm just going to be doing 2 double crochets. So in this first corner, I've done a chain 2 to serve as my first double. I'm putting 1 more into the same space. And that's half of my corner completed. And I'm going to go all the way around and complete it at the end. For our next V-stitch, we're going to work into the middle double crochet from the previous round. We're going to do a double crochet and another into the same stitch. Moving over to the next chain space, we're going to do a corner. That's 2 doubles, and then we're doing a chain 1 and 2 doubles. There's our 2 doubles. I'm just doing 1 chain. If you prefer, you can do 2 chains. It's completely up to you. I found that 1 chain worked just fine. And then 2 more doubles into the same space. Again, I'm trying to eliminate as many chains as I can to kind of condense these stitches so it doesn't get too wavy. If you're finding that it's just working way too tightly for you, then add that extra chain. Next, 2 double crochets into the middle double from the previous round. From here on out, I'm going to refer to that as a V-stitch. Just continue this all the way around, and I'll see you at the other side. We've come back to the very beginning, and remember we did 2 double crochets in the beginning, so we just need to complete this corner by doing 2 more double crochets. And again, we're just doing a half double crochet to complete the corner. So going into the top of your chain, add a half double crochet. Chain 2 or 3, turn your work. For round 3 now, we're just going to be working our V-stitches into the previous round of V-stitches. So it's a little bit hard to see since we didn't do the chain 1s, but basically you're going right into the middle of those 2 double crochets. You are not going into the spaces on these sides of those 2 doubles. Let's add 1 more double crochet into the same space to start our side. And now we're just doing V-stitches into the previous V-stitches. And remember, that's just 2 double crochets. And then when you come to your corner, same drill, 2 doubles, chain 1, 2 doubles. And we're just going to continue this all the way around. A V-stitch into the previous V. And then 2 doubles, chain 1, 2 doubles for your corners. And what you'll notice here is you had 3 V-stitches from the previous round. This time, starting at the corner, you'll see 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they're going up by 2 every round. And then just like before, when you come to the end, 2 doubles in the space, and then a half double crochet into the top of that first chain that you made. For round 4, you're going to repeat the same sequence, so I'll see you for round 5. Once you've completed row 4, you may already start noticing that it's getting a little bit wonky. And again, that's just because we have those extra stitches. It's really hard to get away from that with this stitch. You can stretch it out and straighten it out just a little bit, but this is where we really do want to start making some changes at round 5. If you do want to include color changes, use whatever method you like best, but I'll go ahead and show you what I like to do. Instead of changing color before completing the final stitch, instead I just go into the side of that stitch. For a half double crochet, you'll see 3 strands of yarn. You want to take your hook and go through all 3 of them. Bring in your new color, pull the yarn through, pull on the old color of yarn, and then continue on. So chain 2 or 3, turn, and complete your corner. So this is where I find starting at round 5 is a great place to start the decrease round. To do the decrease round, instead of doing 2 double crochets in the corners, we're just going to do 1 double crochet. We're not really decreasing anything, we're just not increasing. So for round 5, chain 2 or 3 to serve as your first double crochet, or you can do your stacked single. Now, for the previous rounds, I've been doing just the chains, but now I'm going to switch over to the stacked singles, and then that way you can see both. So turning my work, chain 2 or 3 if you prefer, and then going into the corner, I'm doing my single, and then going into the sidebar, pulling the yarn through, yarning over and pulling through 2 to create my second single. And that's my double crochet. We'll come back all the way around to complete this corner, but we're just doing 1 double for the corner, and now we're moving on with our V-stitches, and we're just repeating the same sequence of 2 double crochets into the previous V-stitch. Getting close to the corner, finishing my last V-stitch for that side. Now in the corner space, I'm just doing 1 double crochet, chain 1, 1 double crochet. And then continuing on with the V-stitches on the side, and you're just going to repeat this all the way around. V-stitches in the previous V-stitches, double, chain 1 double in your corners. And then when you come to the other side, there's 1 space left. We're going to complete that corner with 1 double crochet and then a half double into the top of the first stitch. And like you notice here, it will still be a little bit wonky, but it doesn't take much to just flatten it back out. For round 6, turn your work, create your first double however you like best. I'm doing a stacked single. And now we're back to the regular sequence of 2 double crochets in the corners with a chain 1 in between. The main difference here, we're just skipping over that double crochet from the previous round and going right into the V-stitch with our V-stitch. And that's all you need to do differently for this round. Just skip right over those double crochets that are by themselves on the sides. You see, as we're coming up here, I'm doing my last V-stitch. And here we have this lonely little double crochet right here. Just skip right over it and work in to the corner with your 2 doubles, chain 1, 2 doubles. Again, there's that lonely little double, just skip over and continue on with the sequence. And you're just going to continue this all the way around. And then coming to the very end, there's my last double, going right into the corner with 2 double crochets and a half double into the very first stitch that I made. And like before, it was a little bit wonky after the round, but you see here, just with a little bit of manipulating, it flattens back down. To continue on, you're just going to repeat round 5 and round 6 until you complete your project. If you'd like to see how to adapt this into a rectangle, please let me know in the comments and I'll start working on that for next week's video. Otherwise, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.